My name's Jin Ho. I am not part of the early minds lab.
Always well.
I
Like,
I put my application in for membership a couple years ago. I'm still waiting to hear back. I don't know what's going on. My lab is interested in a behavioral neuroendocrinology, um, and how social behaviors can be regulated independent of steroid. Okay. Now, in our field, we have a pretty good understanding of how steroids can regulate a lot of our social behaviors, particularly reproductive behaviors. That's because we have a really good mouse, a rat model and mouse model, rodent model, where when testosterone is on board, reproductive behavior is very abundant and it's very clear. When you remove the testes, you take away the gonadal steroids, the behavior just disappears. So it's pretty straightforward. And we have a fairly good understanding of the activation of these gonadal steroids. However, if you want to understand individual differences or go outside of the mouse model or rat model, and clearly there are other mammals, species. Actually, any dog owners here? Yeah. Are they castrated? Do they still try to hump people? Okay. That's basically the question our lab is trying to answer. How does this behavior still is engaged after you remove the activating steroid? Now, why? So there, because a lot of social behaviors are regulated by steroids, um, and sure, if the behavior gets decreased, why not just give back testosterone or estradiol, and other behaviors? Well, these steroids also can lead to cancerous growth. So people who have breast cancer or prostate cancer, you just can't give them back these steroids. So if we could find an alternative mechanism to get these behaviors back without giving back the steroids, then we can help provide treatments, develop treatments for those people. But because most of our understanding is on the rodent model, we actually don't have a really good understanding of how these behaviors actually are still engaged when we remove the gonadal steroids. So we have a mouse model that we utilize. There's this one specific hybrid strain where about 1/3 of the males still demonstrate the reproductive behavior after the removal of the gonadal steroids, and we can utilize and leverage this mouse model to try to now understand the underlying mechanisms of how these behaviors are engaged independent of steroids. Okay. We have a fairly good genetic map of which genes are elevated, which ones are decreased in this hybrid strain. And unfortunately, well, both fortunately and unfortunately, there's like over 532 genes that are differentially regulated. Um, so where that's the main question in our lab. But because other behaviors other than reproductive behaviors are also modulated by gonadal steroids, we can also now start trying to understand how those other behaviors can be or might be regulated in a steroid independent manner without giving them testosterone or estradiol. So, some of the topics or research studies that we've done try to understand how aggression might be regulated with steroid independently. And the current one that my grad student is really investigating and interested in is anxiety. Okay. Um, yeah, I think, and there's a few other papers up here. And basically, if there's a behavior that's modulated by gonadotropin, we can utilize this mouse model to try to understand the steroid independent mechanisms that might regulate it. All right, thanks. And if I can get word on that membership.